Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Insyrah. I'm from SMP sama Cendekia. Now I want to tell you about a story about a little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there lived in a cartoon village a little country girl. The prettiest creature who has ever seen. Her mother was excessively fond of her, and her grandmother doted on her even more. This good woman had little Red Riding Hood made for her. It suited the girl so extremely well that everybody called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother, having made some cake, said to her, "Go, my dear, and see how your grandmother is doing, for I hear she was been very ill." Little Red Riding Hood set out immediately to go to see her grandmother, who lived in another village. As she was going through the woods, she met with a wolf, who had a very good mind to eat her up, but he dared not, because of some woodcutter working nearby in the forest. He asked her where she was going. The poor child, who did not know that it was dangerous to stay on top with a wolf, said to him, "I'm going to see my grandmother and carry her a cake and little pot of butter from my mother." "Does she live far off?" said the wolf. "Oh, I say," answered the Red Riding Hood, "it is beyond me you see there, the first house in village." "Well," said the wolf, "and I'll go and see her too, and I'll go this way and give you that. We shall who be there first." The wolf ran as fast as she could. Taking a short path, a little girl took a roundabout way, entertaining herself by gathering nuts, running after butterflies, and gathering buckets of little flower. It was not long before the wolf arrived at the old woman's house. He knocked the door. Tap, tap. "Who is there?" "The good grandmother who was in bed. She was somewhat ill." Cry out, "Pull the bobbin and the latch will go up." The wolf pulled the bobbin and the door opened. And then he immediately fell upon the good woman and ate her up in the moment. For it had been then 3 days since he ate her up. He shut the door and got into grandmother's bed, expecting Little Red Riding Hood come some time afterwards and knocked the door. Tap, tap. "Who is there?" Little Red Riding Hood hearing the big voice of the wolf. It was first a fright, but believing her grandmother had a cold and was hoarse, "Answer, it is your grandchild, Little Red Riding Hood, who has brought you a cake and little pot of butter mother sends you." The wolf cried out, softening his voice as much as he could. "Pull the bobbin and the latch will go up." The Little Red Riding Hood pulled the bobbin and the door opened. The wolf, seeing her coming, said to her, hiding himself under nightclothes, "Put a cake and little pot of butter upon the stool, and coming got into bed with me." Little Red Riding Hood took off her clothes and got into bed. She was greatly amazed how her grandmother looked in her nightclothes. Said to her, "Grandmother, what big arms you have! All the better to hug with, my dear." "Grandmother, what big legs you have! All the better to run with, my child." "Grandmother, what big ears you have! All the better to hurrying with, my child." "Grandmother, what big eyes you have! All the better to see with, my child." "Grandmother, what big teeth you have got! All the better to eat you up." And saying this word, the weak wolf fell upon Little Red Riding Hood and ate her up out. The moral of this story is, children should never talk with stranger. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.